I'm here to talk about pleasure, psych, and answer any questions that you might have about our sex intimacy coach certification.
Mo, what are your thoughts on working full time?
So I really truly am not a fan of working full time. I worked full time I did 9 to 5 in the tech industry. I worked 9 to 5 in mental health, and it really burns me out. And as a creative person, I always felt like I needed to do some of my creative things. So I'm also a musician and a writer, as well as a sex therapist. And I love that as a sex therapist and coach, I only really work part-time. I only really work about 15 to 20 hours a week. And I have so much time to do all of the other creative things that really fulfill me, like playing music and writing.
Can you tell me a little bit about your journey from switching from working full time to living a life where you get to do your music, where you get to do your writing, where you get to do all these other creative things that are so important and near and dear to you and keep you thriving?
Absolutely. So when I first started out, I knew that I wanted to work like I knew I wanted to be creative, and I knew I wanted to play music, but I had this other pulling inside of me. I kind of always just felt like I had to go to school and get a degree in order to pursue, in order to make money, in order to make a living. And so I spent years. I did my undergrad, I got a bachelor's degree in clinical psychology. I graduated, and then I worked as a counselor, and I was making such little money. It was really hard. In fact, I was working a full-time job, making very little money as a counselor. And this is before I even got my master's degree, so this is just with the bachelor's. And on the weekends, I was waitressing as well. Friday and Saturday nights were always busy waitressing, which was almost making like double, but I was working 2 jobs and also playing music on the side. So I kind of got used to this lifestyle of working like 40 plus hours a week just to kind of like make ends meet. And the field of psychology was always that. It was like, you can work in it, but you're really not going to make money unless you get that master's degree, because once you get that master's degree, you can work at an agency. And so I did. Finally, I switched careers for a little bit, and I worked in tech for a little bit, and that ended up being, it was fun in the beginning, it was really creative, but it actually ended up being pretty corporate, and it was 9 to 5. I mean, it was more than 9 to 5, and you're sitting in a cubicle, and that was soul sucking. So at the age of 30, I went back to graduate school to get my master's in clinical psychology so I could go back to working in social service, because I knew I didn't want to be tied to a computer and a desk, and I wanted to work with people. I got that master's, and during that time, it really started dawning on me, like, I didn't go into getting that master's thinking that I was going to work for myself. In fact, that never even crossed my mind. I ended up getting my master's degree, but all along I was kind of like, I think I'm going to go into private practice for myself and work with the LGBTQ community, helping people come out. That was something really near and dear to me because of my own life experiences. And so being able to do that and not actually going to work at an agency started to come more and more into my vision. And like this entire time I'm making like no money, because while you're in graduate school, you can't work as a therapist and make money. And then after graduation, I had to get my hours before I could even sit for the exam. So, you have to do 3,000 hours, and that can take people up to 6 years or something like that to finish your 3,000 hours. It depends. I think the shortest amount of time is 2 years. So you've got 4 years of undergrad, 2 years of graduate school at least, and then at least another 2 years of doing your hours before you can even sit and take the licensing exam, which I did. I kind of fast-tracked it all. I sat for the licensing exam, and the first thing I did was go and open my private practice. And I knew what I wanted to do at that time. I wanted to work in sex therapy. And so I just went ahead and did it at that moment. But it took me, how many years, 5 years of undergrad, 2 years of graduate school, 2.5 actually, and then another 2 years. So 7.5. That's like 9.5 years before I was actually able to open my private practice. So, and during that time, I'm playing music, I'm playing in bands. Like, I just got used to just putting my nose to the grind and just working all the time.
I think that sounds really great, and I think that the pleasure psych courses sound wonderful. What would you just say to somebody who's afraid of the amount of time that it's going to take to do this work?
I mean, based on the story that I just told you, that it took me 9.5 years before I could even open my private practice, what I want to give people in the pleasure psych intimacy coaching program is this compacted version. So I'm basically taking 9.5 years of my life, plus, because I've also been in private practice for 15 years now, so 15 plus 9.5. So we're talking like, 25 years. I'm giving you all of that in 10 weeks. It's really compacted because I think the bulk of what you need, you already have. If you have a desire to help people and that's already there, then you just need the tools to know how to do it. If you have a desire to work for yourself and that piece is already there and you already know, then you just might need a little bit of a boost to help you take the leap and go to the next level and actually work for yourself. So this program does all of that. It teaches you how to be a sex coach, an effective one, because we really focus on you in the program, on your process and your learning and your growth. And then I also teach you how to start your own business from the ground up. I give you all of the tools, everything that I learned and taught myself along the way and picked up bits and pieces. All of that is in my course. And it's all 100% online, so you can just do it from the comfort of your own home. And it's all done, I've recorded all of this in videos. Plus there's a coaching call with me once a week that you get to come and ask questions and get refinement around any places that you feel stuck, we can focus on and kind of get you through and get you going into the next step and the next level.
What would you say to somebody who's concerned about not having credentials from a university or having their master's?
I think that's a valid question. I think that there's a lot of emphasis put on getting your degrees and having all of these letters behind you. And there's a lot to be said for that. I want to acknowledge that because I do have a master's and I do have a license to practice therapy. And one thing that I am able to do that a coach can't do is work with insurance. But I will tell you something, is that most sex therapists don't even bill insurance because insurance companies lowball you so hard. And so for me, I feel like that degree can actually hold you back a little bit.
So Mo, you left off telling us about how sometimes having those credentials can make you stuck.
Yeah, so first of all, we were talking about how once you're a licensed therapist, you can get on all these insurance panels. Well, insurance panels actually pay really low. For an hour of therapy, they pay somewhere around $98 to maybe $106 if you're lucky. And sex therapists can charge so much more money than that. You're providing a service that's very niched down, that's very important for people, their sex lives, their relationships, all of that is really, really important for people. And the medical community wants to sort of keep you stuck in this rat wheel. And I did it for a while, and a lot of people have insurance and they want to use insurance, but you get stuck, working a long hour. So that's one way you get stuck. The other ways that you can get stuck is there's so many regulations. So one of the things that I did was I supervise associates who are getting licensed to become therapists, and I still do that, but there's so much red tape for them to go through. And honestly, I've had people that just want to do this course and just go out and start their own business, but they've already spent all these dollars on getting that master's degree. So they're kind of like on this I must get licensed path. So there's just a lot of regulations. You've got to pay a lot of money to get licensed, to maintain your license, to continuously get continuing education credits. And then there's always this looming threat that your license could be taken away from you at any given moment because you did something wrong. You know, you said something wrong to a client, or a client got upset. And boom, they take your license away, and your whole career is potentially gone when something like that happens. And yet you've spent all this time doing it. And I think for me, if this program had existed for me, I would have loved it. And so what I ended up doing in my own career was, getting off of those insurance panels, working for myself as a sex therapist, but mostly as a sex coach, as a sex and relationship intimacy coach, where I help couples. A lot of my clients are couples or partners who are having difficulty in the bedroom. Maybe there was an infidelity. Maybe they want to open up their relationship, or one person is wanting to be open, the other person isn't, or one person wants to have sex and the other person doesn't. I help with all of those things: communication, understanding, sort of understanding your own self and your own relationship to your body and sexuality and your partner. And all of that can be done if you have some really strong coaching skills, because really at the end of the day, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of coaching with my clients. I don't want to work full time ever. And I don't believe that we should. I recently heard this talk, it was on TikTok with Brene Brown, and she said, we shouldn't be defining what love is. That's how she starts her talk. And then she goes on to say, we should leave that for the poets and the artists and the musicians. And it really struck me in that moment, because I'm also an artist and a musician and a poet. And so yes, I write songs about love and all sorts of social commentary and whatnot. But I'm also a therapist and a coach, and I help people with their relationships. And in that moment, it really occurred to me, something that I've been kind of working on all my life, was how I was taught that I couldn't be both. I was really told from a really young age that you need to focus on one thing, right? And so there was this idea that once I became the sex therapist, and once I, got to a certain age, that I would want to stop playing music, or that I would want to stop creating. And to be totally honest with you, as I got older, that desire got bigger and bigger. So not only did it not go away, it continued to grow. And what I ended up really long time was work full time as a therapist, and then play music on the side. And I was just like burning myself out. And then finally I realized playing music and being creative and writing informed my work as a sex coach and a sex therapist. I'm able to be a sex therapist part-time. And the rest of the time I make music. I am working on my fifth book right now. I make films. I get to travel. I get to do all of the things. Like literally there is not something in my life that I want to do that I don't get to do. I get to do all of it. And that is because, and we don't have to choose. We don't have to pick one or the other. We can literally do all of it. And so my program is a lot about that. It's about how can we do all of it. And so one of the things that I really, the motto that I live by is embrace pleasure, live creatively while transforming the lives of others. That's literally what I do, because all of it informs. If I was just doing music, it wouldn't be enough for me. If I was just writing books, it wouldn't be enough for me. In fact, I've talked to numerous coaches and therapists about this. Like, why am I on this constant merry-go-round of doing all the things, until it finally dawned on me. they all inform each other. I am the sum of all of those parts. And so that's what I want to also impart to you in this program is you can be creative and do all of the things you want and have this really exciting, flourishing business as a sex coach.
So you're telling me that in 10 weeks I can actually be up and running? Like, tell me how that would work.
100%. Absolutely. Like, I'm not saying that there's not a lot of work involved. I'm saying that I'm compacting 10 years, 25 years into 10 weeks. So you're still going to have to like do the legwork, right? You're still going to have to learn how to become a good coach. You're still going to have to do all of the steps that you need to do to start a business. And then you're going to have to continuously and consistently continue to do those things. It doesn't end, you know, just because I've figured out this formula doesn't mean I don't work. You know, I get up every morning and I drink my coffee and I write in my journal and I either talk to a client or I get on the phone or I work on my book or I shoot a video for you. This morning I spent an hour on the phone planning my trip to Mexico, which is next week. Like, I kind of get to make my own schedule, and I also get to do the things I love, but doesn't mean that I'm just like sitting around doing nothing, like that I've like figured this thing out and now I get to rest on my laurels. You do have to show up every day for work. But this program teaches you that like balance of work doesn't have to be everything. And in fact, when we do work the right way, or when we do it in a way that works for us, it can really inform all the other aspects of our life, and the other aspects of our lives can inform our work and make us better at what we do. So it's really about kind of like embracing pleasure and living creatively, because those are big things for me. And I know that a lot of people don't live creatively. I know so many people that are like, oh, I'm not good at that, or I can't draw, or I can't do that. And it's like, you know, at some point in our lives when we were kids, I feel like they told us, yeah, don't do that for your day job, you know? And I'm telling you, do it. Do it. Wake up in the morning, and if you want to paint a picture and that's not your day job, I say do it anyway. Because we need to get rid of this concept of day job. And so this program is about that. It's really about getting rid of these ideas, because the day job, guess what that does? That robs you of your pleasure, right? That day job sucks. So how are you going to get that pleasure back? Well, I'm going to show you how. I'm going to hand you the tools.
Yeah, and so let's say I've gotten through the program. It's great. I have all my tools together. And you said a little bit about teaching me how to run the business. Can you tell me a little bit how you are going to help me through that process?
Sure. So I'm going to teach you everything I did to starting my own business. I built my entire business online, and I used social media. I used some SEO. I used a variety of tools to build my name organically online. And that doesn't happen overnight, but I did a little bit every day. And actually, because I love writing, because I like shooting videos and making content, a lot of that was really fun and creative for me. So the goal is to find the things that really, really resonate for you, because that's part of being a business owner. Is there's so much fun involved in doing something that you're really passionate about, and it's all yours. You're not doing it for anyone else.